Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Colleen. I have been asked to join a collaboration with 3 other women of faith to prepare a Sunday dinner. And I am excited about this, to be included with these 3 fantastic women, and I am looking forward to bringing you a Sunday dinner with a dessert. The lovely Darlene asked me to be part of this collaboration, and we will be joined by Tiffany from Large Family Love and Amy from Amy Marion, and I am just so excited to be have my name lumped in with these 3 fantastic women. So I hope that you'll not only join me today and view the supper that I will prepare, but that you'll have a look in the description box below and go out and check out these other 3 channels that will be doing the same thing, presenting options for a Sunday dinner. So come on back and let's get started by making dessert first. So here I am. It's Sunday. Sunday supper is on the go. That is what our challenge, this collaboration was about, was Sunday supper. And I thought that I would try and keep this as simple as possible, because we all know what it's like Sunday. If you're attending church out of your house, then you need to have things to come home to that are simple for you to prepare, because more than half your day is taken up with church. And so we want simple things to prepare so that we can spend time together as families. And I'm going to start with this recipe for dessert, because it's a refrigerated dessert and I need it to go into the refrigerator for about 4 hours. So straight home from church, let's get this on the go. I am going to make a lemon cheesecake. You know, the kind that you speed up and you don't have to cook. So I'm going to need about 5 ounces. It's going to go right into my KitchenAid mixer. And along with that is going to go this package that serves for 99 grams of Jell-O lemon pudding. This is the instant kind. So it goes in here. Not a lot of people use canned milk anymore, so I hope that you have it in your pantry, but if you don't, you can pick up the half-size ones at the grocery store. I just didn't happen to have a half-size one, and neither did my grocery store. So I bought a whole can, and I'm just using what I need to, and I'll use the rest for coffee, because I don't mind canned milk at all. It was something I was raised on. When the cow wasn't fresh, we had canned milk. Now I'm going to need to mix this really, like whip it for the next 2 minutes, and it'll thicken. So I'll be back when that's done. So this is all mixed up now, and this is kind of a 2-part thing, but I'm going to use my one mixer in a couple of different ways here. I don't have a handheld mixer anymore since I've got this lovely stand mixer. So I'm just going to set that aside. And I'm going to take out this mixture of milk and the lemon pudding mix, which is really, really thick now. It's really, I don't even know how to explain it. It's very, very thick. And I'm just putting it in a bowl to set it aside, because we're going to need to put it into the mix here in a little bit. Now, into the mixing bowl, I'm going to add my paddle, because I'm going to paddle a couple of packages of cream cheese until they're quite well whipped. So I have them here and I've had them sitting out on the counter at room temperature for about the last hour just to help them with the softening, because you want them to be quite soft for this process. You could, if you're diligent, which I'm not always, you could soften them in the microwave, but there can be no distractions. I've made puddles out of a block of cream cheese. Okay, so this is going to whip now for 3 minutes in just the cream cheese, and I'm going to scrape down the bowl once in a while too. Okay, we've been beating that now for 3 minutes, and to that, I'm just going to give this a bit of a break up. This is lemonade concentrate. It's a frozen lemonade concentrate, which I put out onto the counter about the same time that I put the cream cheese out there, and I need 3/4 of a cup of lemonade concentrate. So there we go. And now I'm just going to mix very gently and pour this in. And I'm going to do this until it gets incorporated, and I'll be scraping it down in between these times that I'm adding. So when I'm all done, I'll be back. Well, I've got it all mixed in there and it's very silky and smooth. And this is how thick it is. It's just, it's running nice. It's making a nice thread. And now we're going to switch our paddle back to the whip. I'm just going to set this one aside. And I'm going to go back to the whip. And I promise you, it's really not hard. If I had a hand mixer and the stand mixer, the steps might make more sense, but I don't think it's that hard. So now I'm going to put small bits of this into that, whipping it the whole time until we get it smooth. Now, part of what makes this a shortcut is that today I'm going to use this graham cracker pie crust. Now, normally I would probably make this crust myself, but it is Sunday, and so today we are going to go by the easiest method that we can. So I'm going to, I've just exposed it. There's no baking involved here. And now I'm going to lift this up and we're going to pour the contents of this. Oh man, I made a mess, didn't I? There's no way to, oh, there are probably cooks out there who could actually pull this off without getting it all over the mixer. I'm not one. And we're going to just pour this into the graham cracker crust. And once we get all the contents in there, and for those of you who say you don't like canned milk, you cannot taste the canned milk in here, and it just blends in with all the other ingredients, and voila, there we have a lemony cheesecake pie for dessert. So I hope that you guys will give this a try, and I'd be really interested in hearing from you. If you do give this a try, let me know what you think of it. I would appreciate that. Okay, we'll be back in a minute and we'll get started on our dinner now that we've gotten the dessert made and out of the way. Let's get going. Well, now I'm ready to move on to our main dinner. So I am going to prepare today for our household, my husband and I, roasted chicken with roast carrots and some smashed potatoes. And I buy these little, they're about 3 pounds. This one I think is very close to a 3-pound bird. And we also buy these look oven bags. And this is how we've been roasting chickens for a really long time now, and the way we enjoy them the most. But whatever way you like to roast your chickens, that's the way you should do it. Follow the directions in a good cookbook, or follow a family recipe. I've just got a shallow pan here. I've placed a rack, just a plain rack, and all I use this rack for is roasting. It's just a little wire rack. It happens to fit down in there just right to keep about an inch of space underneath the rack so that the heat can penetrate from all different angles. And I don't wash the chicken, but I do inspect it pretty closely. See, this one still had a pin feather, so I'm just taking that out. And then you open up the bag. And you place the chicken right inside the bag. And I try to get it right to the very bottom of the bag. The bag wants to cling to the chicken, of course, because the chicken is moist. And then gather up all the ends, which you're not going to need, and I give it a spin or two to tighten it up and make sure there's a little bit of air left in the bag, but get the bag pretty close to the bird. They come with a little, it's like a little zip tie thing. And you put the one end through the other and pull it as tight as you can possibly pull it, because these bags, the air will escape. Once they get hot, they swell up really big. Now I take all of the tail and I fold it right underneath the bird, and I put the bird on the rack, which makes it harder for the ends to come up and touch the top of the oven. Now I'm going to put this into a 350-degree oven where it's going to roast for an hour and a half. And while it's getting started, we'll start on the vegetables. Now we're just going to have some carrots with our dinner. And I'm just going to wash up a few of these. There is just 2 of us for dinner. So I probably don't need more than about 4 carrots. All of this could be done the day before, basically. I'm going to peel off the skins of these carrots because that's the way we enjoy them, if no other good reason. It's kind of, sometimes, especially if they've been stored for a long time, carrots can get a bit of a bitter taste, the skin part of the carrot. So I always take the skin off, and that avoids that. When they're fresh and young, they are absolutely delicious, skins and all, but as they age and the longer they're in storage from one year to the next, I notice that the skins do get a bit bitter. So it doesn't take very long, and I started to say that this dinner, you could have most of it done the day before. You could definitely make the dessert the day before. It lends itself to being a good time in the fridge, so you could definitely do the dessert the day before and have that done. You could have your bag and pan ready. I always try to leave the chicken on the counter for about an hour before I start to cook it, just to warm the meat a little, because the warmed meat, you get a more consistent cook out of meat that's been warmed than you do meat that's cold out of the fridge. And you could definitely do the carrots up the day before. The potatoes are, I'm cooking them whole, so I don't have to worry about doing too much with them. But depending on what you were doing for your side, you could do the day before as well. Now these carrots, I'm just going to cut them all about the same size. I've got them on a little bit of a bias, but it doesn't have to be fancy, for sure. It doesn't have to be fancy to be tasty. I mean, I say we eat with our eyes first, but it definitely just needs to look appealing, and when these are done, they will be. I'm going to put carrot bits just into this pot for the moment. I'll get the last two done. There are very few things that we don't eat at our house. My husband's first choice for a vegetable wouldn't be carrots, but he eats them and he enjoys them this way. Now I'm basically just going to blanch these carrots, so I'll wash those in a minute and get them on to boil, but I'm also going to do some of these little creamer potatoes. Now these are just the little small white potatoes, and they're all small enough that I am not going to have to do anything to them as far as cutting them, because I'm going to give them a smash when they're done. And I'm going to toss enough in the pot for Gino and I. I'm going to wash these and get them to the boil. I'm going to boil the carrots and the potatoes equally about 5 minutes. Just kind of pre-cook them before I get them ready for the oven, and I will be back to show you that process. Well, you may be able to hear it in the background. You probably can hear my air conditioner running, and I apologize for the noise, but I would be a melted puddle if it were not for that air conditioner right now. The pots are starting to boil over there, so I have about 5 minutes to put together the sauce that will go on to the carrots. I'm going to do these things 2 different ways. Right now, you can probably see I have lined a big sheet tray, and I've made a bit of a gutter, because with just the 2 of us here, I don't need to make a full sheet tray full of anything these days, but you could definitely do full sheet trays if you need to. So because I'm doing 2 different flavors, I don't want them to run together, and hence that's the reason I'm doing that. So in this 2-cup measuring cup, I have a 1/2 cup of butter, and I'm going to put in about 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, and I'm going to squeeze this myself, freshly squeezed. You could use canned lemon juice or bottled lemon juice here if that's what you would prefer, but I prefer to use the fresh when I can, and I happen to have it today, so that's what I'm going to use. If this were a little more or a little less, it will not ruin anything, so don't sweat it. I'm doing my very best guess, and I'm estimating right now that I have what I need, but yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. There's no sense breaking into the second one, I don't think. I'm just going to put my strainer into the sink, and then I am going to chop up 4 cloves of garlic. Actually, maybe I'll rasp these up. So I've got one of these fine rasps, and they work really good for garlic. It's the principal reason I actually have this. So I'm just going to rasp all of these into, and it takes such a little bit of time, into this mix. I put it in this cup, in this oven safe cup, because I'm going to put this into the microwave to melt everything and get it all together. So this is a fast step, and this can also be made day before. You could do this on Saturday, or you could even do this on Friday. Just keep it refrigerated till you needed it. And that was my 4 cloves went in there, and now I need about 2 tablespoons of fresh parsley, and I'm going to chop that pretty finely when I get enough here to chop. I'm going to, maybe chop this a little finer than this for sure. This is a really delicious little way to fancy up plain old carrots a little bit. Alright, dump that in there. And now last, but certainly not least, I'm going to add 1/4 cup of a good quality honey. This is some honey we bought from a farmer's market, and we're really enjoying it. It's wildflower honey, this particular one. just smartens this right up. Yeah, I'm just going to step over to the microwave, and I'm going to microwave this until the butter is melted and everything is mixed together. Well, I have taken the butter. This is honey butter garlic sauce. I don't know what you might want to call it, but it's so tasty. Oh my gosh, you will not be sorry if you try this. And I've just drained the carrots, and I have them just releasing the last of the water, and I'm going to let them steam that off because they're cooked perfectly for roasting now. I hope that makes sense. Otherwise they'd be in the oven a really long time, and I don't need them to be in there that long. So I'm just going to put them in the 1/2 in my tin foil divided pan here. So I'm going to make sure that these carrots each have a side down on the tin foil. Even though this is not very good tin foil, and I'm working really hard to make sure I don't puncture it, because then the whole idea of having everything separated would go out the window, right? So I'm going to give this a quick stir. I have twice as much sauce in here as I need. So I'll be using this on the carrots today. This is enough to do enough carrots for 4 people. Or any vegetable, really. And I'm just going to coat the bottom, and the rest I'm going to put in a little mason jar in the fridge, and we'll use that another day. Well, doesn't this look spectacular? Well, you'll see it soon. Right now, it looks like this. And now I think the potatoes might be soft enough that I could bring them out. I'm just going to double check them, and I'll be right back. Well, I think the potatoes are going to need another maybe 4 minutes. I'm going to give them a little more time. And I have gotten out some good quality olive oil and some rosemary. And I have 4 cloves of garlic that I've just cut into big pieces. Because if you leave them whole, because this recipe doesn't take very long, if you leave them whole, they won't get completely roasted. And now we just have to wait on the potatoes, and then I will show you what this tray looks like. Now, I'm just smashing the potatoes, like flattening them down, and I'm just going to put them each one in a bowl. I'm not squishing them all the way. I'm not trying to make mashed potatoes. I just am doing this because I need to put some oil on them, and I don't want to risk poking a hole in my cheap tin foil. Oh my goodness, this foil has caused me some grief, I'll tell you. But I have it, and I'm determined not to waste it. So, this is how we're going to have to do it. Okay, the last 2 potatoes. I'm going to throw them all in here, and I think I made way too much, but I guess that means leftovers for somebody for tomorrow. So I'm just going to drizzle these with some olive oil, and I'm just going to add a little drizzle to the pan, because we do want the garlic to have a little on them as well. Now, these rosemary leaves, because I didn't have any fresh and I'm using dry, I am just going to add some to the pan. I'm going to give this a stir, and not too much of a stir. Don't want to break these down too much. And I'm going to pour them out onto this side of my pan. And I'm going to do the very same thing. I'm going to kind of scatter these around so that every part is touching. Now, I've got that ready to go. So dinner is, in fact, almost ready. So the chicken is in the oven. It's got another 30 minutes to go, 25 minutes to go. And I want to crank up the heat on the oven to take care of these. So I'll bring the chicken out when it's ready, and I will allow it to rest on the counter while these veggies go into a 425 degree oven for about 7 minutes. I kind of keep an eye on them to see how they're doing in there. And when I have dinner all ready, I'm going to bring you back so that you can see what Sunday dinner at our house typically looks like. I try to make meals that are rushed so that I can spend at least part of my week, my Sunday, spending time with the Lord. And I hope that you guys are able to work Him into your everyday, all day long. It only takes us a moment to just take a breath and recognize that in every breath we take, He's present. I hope that you've enjoyed this collaboration, and that if you have, you'll go check out the other women that are involved in this collaboration and see the amazing things that are coming out of their kitchens and the things that they're doing in their everyday lives. Some of them take you along with their family events, and some of them are taking you along to what's going on that day in the life, and some of them are just cooking some amazing food. Go check them out. Please like this video, subscribe, share it with your friends, share it on your social media. That would be really helpful to all of us. Thanks again, everybody. I will see you next week. Look for the finished meal right after this.